20 years, the, the treatment it was not good, but no infection. She said, can you put me a crown? Yes, I do nothing. I prepare the crown and I do a ceramic. When I put the ceramic, 15 days after, infection. There was no infection during 20 years, and I put a crown. I do nothing more. I put a crown, and she have cellulite infection. I say to my son, the best solution is to put out the tooth, because impossible to do the root. I cannot. And she said, you don't want to prove the laser. For a classic people, for laser is like space, is fantastic for them. I am going to do it. I put hypochlorite, with the laser, and I close. Finish. No cellulite, no infection, all come back. I cry. How many days? I don't know. But nowadays she has the crown, she's happy. Okay. It's better to put out the crown and the tooth. Alors, in this case, we have obtained a good successful, but perhaps in other cases not. But she gave many solutions when there is no solution, the laser.
It's enough you told to say to the patient, I have laser on my clinic. This is also fantastic. Many patients asking about the laser. Do you have laser, doctor? Do you have laser like that?
Yes. To sell your competence, if you have a laser, it's very fine. But if you are a stupid doctor, the laser is not good. If you are a bad doctor, the laser is not good. You must be a good doctor to use good products. You must know your limit. Alright, okay. Now, if you want, we are going to see something. Alors, I am going to the problem is for what we do. We seal a crown or we transfix a crown. What's the best? This is a very important question. You seal or you transfix. And this is very important to the mind. Alors, what are the advantages to seal a crown and a bridge? You have a better aesthetic because in the occlusal part we see nothing. Okay? When you see a crown who is transfixed, on dit transfixé, transfixed, there is a little hole with composite, and you see this. We can see it. And the advantage of sealing is aesthetic in the occlusal part, and you can when you seal, you can rattraper l'angle. Comment dire rattraper?
What is it?
For example, you can do a correction of the angulation. For example, your implant is 25 degrees, 45. I am going to show you an implant 45 degrees angulation. It was a bone like this. And we cannot transfix it. Not possible. And you can do a correction of the axe when you seal. This is advantage of sealing. But the inconvenience is very difficult sometimes to put out the crown. To take with hard, and sometimes you break the implant because the cement is too hard. And this is inconvenient of, on dit inconvénient, tout ça? The inconvenience. But what are the rules of when you seal a crown? There are rules. When you seal a crown, you must have a chimney in palatine port, so that you can put the
cementing of a crown. The implant حط له كراون سيمنتد ريتين وفي سكرو ريتين
Wait, if you want to put a crown
كراون بتغطي
remover,
الكومبوزيت. في نوعين من
you have the
الاباتمنت
crown down the
الكراون بتحطهم على
gingiva.
الزرعه.
It's very
يا اما
difficult
عندك
to remove
اباتمنت
the
بتحط
crown.
في لزق وبتلزق زي
And
السنه
in this
العاديه،
case,
ده السيف.
it's
او
necessary
سكرو ريتين اللي هكلمك عنه بعد كده.
it's necessary to remove a crown when it's correct down the word and the crown is down the gingiva. To remove the crown is very difficult to take the crown and to remove. And for this case, for this reason, it's necessary for the laboratory to do for you a chimney, palatine chimney. And it's like a hole. It go from the external and internal metallic crown, and when you put cement, the cement go up the gingiva and not down the gingiva, because if you put a crown and you have not chimney, the cement down go under the gingiva, and sometimes you can lose your implant because with the cement it grow, and it kill your implant. Donc,
احنا ما بنعمل احنا ما بنعملها، بس بعملوا ثقب بالمعدن عشان وقت عم بلزق ما يدخل السيمنت
يطلع الزايد برا،
يطلع لبرا، بس نحن عادة ما بنسويها، ما بعرف اذا
بيعملوها من الحنك مثلا.
بس بعملوها على عيني، الثقب على عيني الحنكي، وقت بتلزق بيطلع كل السيمنت الزائد منها.
تماما.
Alors, the rule when you seal the crown is first to have a chimney. Second rule is necessary to have a provisory cement, bond or polycarboxylate cement with Vaseline and you mix. Third rule, you must have an abutment transfixed. Obligatory. The abutment is transfixed. It's a rule. The abutment must have minimum 6 millimeters of heightness, and it must be polished. And the angulation of the abutment must have 2 degrees maximum. If it's more than 2 degrees, the crown always go out. Okay? So these are the rule of technique of sealing. But now, if you want to use the transfixed technique, it's very sympathetic, the transfixed technique, but you have a hole. And to have a good result with the transfixed technique, you must have first on the implant a titanium part who don't move, because the laboratory, when it use the technique burn out, sometimes it don't work correctly. And you must not have directly the burn out technique directly on the implant part, because it is crooked always. Because the laboratory, if it don't do correctly the work, and if it's all burned out elements on the implant, it move always. The most important is the contact here, the head in contact with your implant, and it is a good precision, very high precision. And after, in the up part, you can have a burn out concept. And here, no problem. And with this, you can do this. So, very important. If you want to transfix it, first step is metallic, and second piece part is burnout. Very important. And after you transfix, and more. A rule very important. Sometimes there is a little mobility when you eat always, and sometimes there is a hard forces on the crown, and in this case this can be move a little. Is the reason why I propose you to put in the interior of the implant, you mix oxycodone, eugenol and Vaseline. You mix, it's like a cream, and you put this cream in the interior of the implant, and when you screw, you have, after 3 days, a little essentiality, and you kill the bacteria who can go here and give you a peri-implanted. Okay? It's very fine idea, I propose. And there is different hauteur, comment on dit? Different height. 1 millimeter, 2 and 5, 3 and 5, and after you can have the gingiva here. And here there is a good differentiate. Okay? Alors, we have the round system, rotative, and you have the X system, anti-rotative. Anti-rotative for an unitary, and if you have a bridge, the system here is rotative, it's easier for laboratory to do it. Other solution, transfixed, is the, you know, you have not here the multi-unit or I-unit. All the society who do implant have this concept. It's very important, this concept. When a people is old and she lose all the tooth, there is a resorption of the bone. And when there is a resorption of the bone, mandibular is like this, and maxillar is like this. The resorption is centripede, and the other is centrifuge. After 10, 20 years, they are like this. If you put directly implant and crown, it's necessary to have a crown like this. Okay? And if they have lived with a mobile, an acrylic prosthesis, okay, in prothèse acrylic, okay, she have gingiva acrylic pink, and for they support the lips. And for a woman, it's very important because she don't want to seem very old. Okay, you see. Alors, what is the solution? And the interest of this concept is, with the ID unit, is to have support of lips with acrylic, pink acrylic. It is fixed. They never put out to rinse and to put. It don't move, and there is no palate. And in this case, the taste is always here. When they eat, they drink, always they have the taste. Only this concept can give the free solution. Okay? So you have different abutment with free conicity, 0 degree, 15, I think, and 23 degrees, and you put this element, you screw them so that you can descrew palatinely. You put your screw palatinely, you put them, and you do the impression with technique pickup. And the laboratory with the burnout element can do for you a bar, transfix the bar, and if the result is correct and passive, they can cook the tooth like a classic maxillary. The results are very, very, it's very difficult to do it, but the results are fantastic. And the people are happy. They kiss you 20 times. Okay? It's very important. Not in your country. It's forbidden.
No, Mafi, no kissing on them.
No, it's forbidden. But in France, they kiss you, not here.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the concept. And there is other solution. There is other solution is to have a bar, a fixed bar transfixed, and you can put ball and O-ring with O-ring. But the O-ring, if the ball are not parallelized by the laboratory, at the end they go and they move. If you have not possibility, you put a bar in the anterior part and you put 4 implants, for example, or 6 in the maxilla. You do a bar with ball, with O-ring, but if you have not implant in posterior part, never there is a stability. always it moves a little. It's necessary every 8 months to put acrylic in posterior part to so that it don't move. It's very important, and he must pay every 8 months. He go to the laboratory and you put a little fine quantity of acrylic so that when he eats, it's always the paper. She can eat the paper. If you don't do this, they have many problems of temporary articulation. They have problem of here it hurts, and they think that there is a decalcification of vertebra. In reality, all the problem is because when they close hardly, there is no contact in posterior. Very, very important. If you want to have contact always in posterior, and if you want the people don't come always, you must always put 2 implants in the region of 36 and 46. The first molar, front molar. You put small implant. You can, if you want, put a small implant. You will have implant of 6 millimeter. It's necessary that it is fixed. You have a small implant with a heading cap, and when you put the mobile acrylic, there is a stability in posterior and O-ring in anterior. And with this, it's very fine and easy to do it. This is the case when we do with the O-ring. I restate this case, okay? The doctor, the surgeon put implant with anesthetic complete. He put implant where he can, okay? And we put the AD unit, and in the interior there is a bar, metallic bar, and you transfix all the elements. There is a sustentation of the lip, okay? And you have not palatine for the test. Very important. But now, if you want to use the technique, the burn-out technique, you are going to use an abutment. The abutment is metallic or is zirconium. Nowadays, IDI have abutment zirconium with a platform of titanium. Okay, in 3 months, all around the world, they can receive the abutment zirconium all around the world. But we prepare this, and in few months, 3 months, all around the world you can receive. In anterior part is very important because the crown zirconium are the best in the world. And in the anterior part, when there is a recession of the gingiva, if you earn 1 millimeter with abutment zirconium is very important for the anterior aesthetic part. When you want to put an abutment, single abutment, it's necessary to use this pickup, comment dire, transfert d'empreinte. Comment on dit un transfert d'empreinte?
Transfer coping.
Coping. Transfer coping? Alors, closed technique or open technique? I think the best is this. It depends on the quality of the silicone. If your silicone is not good, all is wrong. Is the reason why when you use a technique, for example, this is necessary to sometimes to do the impression with a stone, like the plate, because if the silicone is not good, it moves, and all the abutments are not in the good place, and you must cut, solder, and so. Alors, the technique of a single element and more. You do the impression with a closed technique. The laborator prepares, and he prepares the abutment, he put the dye spacer, okay, and he prepares the metal part of the crown with the chimney. The chimney is palatine. The chimney is up the gingiva. When you seal with a provisory cement, the cement go out and not down under the gingiva. and after 1 week or 2 weeks, if there is no problem, you put out the cement provisory and you put a Fuji 2, a cement, pas de composite, de verionomère, a verionomère. You put a verionomère so that the saliva don't go and dissolve the tendon, because it can, after 3 months, with the crown in the hand, because it dissolves the tendon. And if you want, it don't dissolve the tendon, after you close with a cement, definitive cement. Okay? Technique all in burn. For example, this case, you see is 45 degrees. It's not possible. It be proalveoli, the maxilla is like this, the bone. We put an implant in middle of the bone, and we have 45 degrees. To obtain a result, it was necessary. We cannot transfix the crown. Aesthetically, in vestibular, you see the crown, the screw. So it's necessary to pass by an abutment and a transfixed abutment. But all the abutments have not than more 25 degrees. Here we have 45 degrees. In 45 degrees, we use a burn out element, and the laboratory, it must be a fantastic laboratory, and it do an abutment. And what is important, when we put the tube, okay, the tube crown, very important, you see there is a chimney. It's very important to have the chimney. If there is a problem, comment? Quoi?
C'est un tunnel.
Tunnel?
Ouais.
Eh ben, with a tunnel. Tunnel. A chimney or tunnel.
This canal for...
No, by zircon it's not possible because it break.
Yes.
When it broke. The zircon, no. In this case, no. Take care. You can do it only if you can with a hammer tactic. Okay, very important. Okay, and in this case you have the two tunnels and you have a very, very fine. This case you can do it only if you use the burnout concept. If the reason why we must not say no, I want only metallic, only yes, you can do it in golden port. You can do it, this element can be done in golden port. Okay, but it's very more expensive. Okay, with a burnout system, few dollars, very few dollars, but you must have a good laboratory. Okay. And another technique of burnout system is you want to use the rules of biomechanics. Remember, the biomechanics, you must have solidarization of your implant, but the solidarization of your implant, it must be passive. Passive. Or, to obtain a passive, all the laboratory know how to prepare the metal, to transform wax in metal. All the laboratory all around the world know how to do this. But when they cook the ceramic, we find problems. In this result, and you don't forget, if you have a solidarization of your implant, you double the life of your implant. If you solidarize by a platform transfixion, you double the life of your implant. And in this case, the interest of this, the laboratory with a burnout element, UCLA, it prepares this, and you have the possibility to pass the little brush to clean between the tooth, to have, okay? You control always that the work is correctly with an X-ray, is a perfect facility, and just before to screw this element, always, oxidizing eugenol with Vaseline, you full the implant and you screw this element, and after you put your bridge Okay? Zinc oxide and that in the interior of implant.
لا لو تحط
When you no, it's like a cream. It dissolves. It dissolves instantly. Sorry, it's the same moment when you screw, it go and it dissolves. No problem. Alors, for example, this case. Alors, I am going to show you this case. It had 20 years, this case. It was been done by a stomatologist, a friend, a stomatologist, who do this case. This case is very interesting because there is a surgeon who put all the implants, 12 or 14 implants, okay? He do a sinus elevation, okay, floor. He do graft, vestibular, many things. And after, he restates the case, and there is two solutions. He have one tooth, one implant, and every implant is independent. So every crown is independent. And there is a second solution, is to do a solidarization by the burnout concept. With the burnout concept, with our experience, we double the life for our implant. In this case, imagine there is one implant who fails, you remove, you put out the implant, and you screw the first step, and you put your crown. And in this case, tomorrow you fail 20% of your implant. It's not a problem. You remove, you put out your implant, and you put your bridge on this part. The interest of the burnout concept, in this case, to probe, it's not necessary to put every implant with every abutment. If you put an abutment, a second abutment, a third abutment, 12 abutment, every abutment must have a number. And you must have a case to put the implant to put correctly in the good position. And when you probe, you must pass 2 or 3 hours to probe. In this case, you pass 10 minutes to probe. You put out the herring cap, you take with 2 fingers all the bar, you screw one element posterior, a second element, you do an X-ray, a panoramic. If there is clear passivity, it's finished your work. On half an hour, you finish your work. This is the interest of the burnout concept. But the burnout concept, you must have a fantastic laboratory. If the laboratory is bad, you kill all your work and all your implants. And you have the bar, you probe the bar, you do an X-ray if it's correct, and the interest of this technique, you can recover angulation. For example, this woman had resorption centrifuge in the maxilla. It's like this. She had 50 years, 15, 50. She had 50 years, this woman, and she lose the bone, maxilla superior. In this case, we have the possibility to earn more the grace. You see the maxilla, you put the first bar, and you put the crown. You earn this, and you have a long tooth, because she lose bone vertically also. And in this technique, if the laboratory is correct, you have a perfect adaptation. And if you fail 1, 2, 3, 4 implants, it's not problem. It's not problem because you remove this. Okay, you remove this, you put out your implant, you screw this, and the interest of this concept, you know when you put a bridge of 12 or more elements, sometimes one ceramic break because there is problem of occlusion of.
Why the dentist have to put 14 implant on the maxilla? Why too much?
Because we think
Patient has money or what?
the implant there is 20 years. The implant is 200 or 300 euro. The IDI is less expensive, and we know that if you put one implant for one crown, if we fail, we lose implant, we can continue the prosthetic act. And if the implant is 300, 400 euro, you put two implants for 3 crowns, and
But this one is not IDI. This case is not IDI.
This
No,
is the first
turn it
implant
back
that
is
we
not.
have.
No, this implant is not IDI.
My implant, I do.
Can you show it again?
All these implants are IDI. The implants, these are ONB.
أنا ما كنتش sorry this
These implants have 25 years.
it looks like Strowman. It's not
No, it's the first implant who was
I didn't see it.
is developed in the hospital of Paris Tenon. It's the first implant, cylindrical implant, ONB.
I didn't see it.
Okay, but it has 25 years.
Yes, I am
It is
working.
always the same surface treatment that all the implant IEI. Sandblasted with that 14.
How many implants failed? After you said it's for 25 years.
14 implants?
How many implants failed? Now?
I don't know. Perhaps. I think perhaps here. Perhaps I don't know. It's not my case. It's not my case. No, but it's always in. The patient have always this case. No problem. But if we fail, it's not a problem. If you pay 20%. It takes 20 years more. This case, if you don't fail implant, it takes one life. And if you fail after 10 years, 2 or 3 implants, you fail, you remove and it stays 10 or for 20 years more. In reality, with this concept, the bridge stays all the life with the burnout concept.
Excuse me. What you said to your patient about the implant when he asked you this is for lifetime or not? You told him for how long the implant you did?
I have 62 years.
Yeah.
In 10 years, I am going in. I stop.
Yeah.
I stay then for all the life.
What about the young people here?
No.
What have to tell to the patient?
It's a joke. Alors, in reality, if the patient comes every year, for example, if I put implant of 8 millimeter, 7 millimeter, 6 millimeter, they firm, I give a guarantee of 8 years, no more than 8 years. Because I see, you have no bone. You are young, you want during 10 years stay young, you don't want to mobile, I can guarantee 8 years. For women, 8 years is a long life, you understand? Yes, but in reality, an implant correctly done with the technique of solidarization, it stays 15, 20 years reality. I have bridge of 8 millimeter, they have 25 years. It depends of the bone. But at the end, the bone go out. The bone go out. The bone, like a tooth, you lose bone. But in the experience, when we put implant and they conserve the tooth, after 10 years, the implants are here, the tooth are not here. If there is a periodontic problem, open. Only if they go to the good children of periodontics.
Yes, of course.
Voilà. Alors, what is the interest of this concept? Is this: if you break one ceramic, all the doctor knows if you remove a bridge of 40 elements after 1 year or 2 years, and when you cook it to repair the ceramic, all the ceramic of all the tooth explodes. And it's often necessary to do completely the bridge when you go to the laboratory to cook ceramic. It's the reason why when you can do in 3 parts a bridge, even you break 1 ceramic, you must do only 3 or 6 or more or 7 elements. 6 or 4 elements. It's very important for the time who is going to come for long life, because it's less expensive to do a concept with a bridge 3 parts, okay, and you have the tunnel here to put out the bridge. It's very fine to retransfer. This is a solution I propose you. You do what you want. Some societies say no, it's better to screw it. This concept was born there is 25 years by the Dr. Alain Ruet, who is the manager of the AIEO, Académie Internationale of Implantology, the Dr. Alain Ruet. He finds this concept. In reality, it's a fantastic concept. It depends only of the laboratory. If the laboratory is bad, the results are worse. Take care. Voilà. Donc, in the finality, if the laboratory is correct, but to obtain this perfect adaptation, you must have a very, very good silicone. And this work has been done with the silicone Kettenbach. Other silicone, they are not so good. There is another very good silicone is Intrigone. The 2 best silicones for implantology. And with the silicone, it's not necessary to do impression with stone, to do impression with silk, and so. You understand? It depends completely on the silicone and the laboratory. If you have a good silicone, a good laboratory, you can be happy when you do this work. Okay? And the result is very fine. The tools, I think, are too long, in my opinion, but it's a problem of the doctor who does this work. Okay? Voilà. Have you some question? Alors, there is another